Let's take a look at this bad boy.
You did it, Mike. Titanium, it should be okay. Oh yeah. I think the manufacturer might recommend replacing these every time you do this job, but you could get away with using it twice. But I wouldn't recommend using it any more than twice because they are aluminum, and the more you fold them, the fragile it becomes. So this time should be fine, but if you do it again next time, I would recommend getting one from Ducati and just replace it. There's really no trick to it, just take your time and try to bend them back with even pressure. See, that's what I was worrying about. We might have to remove this to have clearance going through it. Might just have to undo this one and drops this whole shifter down, and we should have enough clearance, so we would have to do that. I'll try to hit it with the gun being in neutral to see if it has enough torque to spin it off. If not, then I would have to probably have you step on a brake for me. I don't like to put the pressure on the transmission, on the gearbox. So let's see. And we're good. Might be easier. Not. Okay. That's the factory master link. Ducati usually put a mark over it. We're not reusing the chain, so it really doesn't matter. But it makes the job a little easier. So you're just grinding this flat. Pin out.
You grind only one side of them out, right?
Yeah, because you're not reusing the chain. If you're reusing the chain, then you would have to grind both sides in order to take the whole link out to put a new master link to it. But you're not reusing it, so one side is good enough to dislocate the chain. Next we gotta do is undo this, take the hub out, loosen the center hub in the back. Looks like 212s. Yeah, they're 14, so I'm gonna get a smaller wrench. Okay. You don't have to take them out, just loosen them good, and you're good. Oh, 41. Yeah, it's a 41. There you go. Before we put this on, we have to torque this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to torque it before we put it on. And then these are captive, capture in the back, so we could torque it from should have enough room for the socket to fit because how close they are. I'm gonna try to get a socket in there just in case before I put this on, before I torque this actually. Because if once I torque this and it gets too close to interference with the nut, I won't be able to get a socket in here. So I'll test fit it now and see what happens. And then we'll torque the push drive and the nut and get it on. Oh yeah. So let's go. So that's it's a 12 point. Yeah, it clears it, so that's good. 12 point. Perfect. I would put some anti-seize on here, just in case. Not Loctite, anti-seize. Careful. These are titanium on titanium. It's not necessary, but I like to put a little bit of anti-seize just in case. And it's easier for you to remove, prevent it from binding. Normally, if you put titanium on aluminum or different kinds of metal, it'll have a greater chance of binding because they're different. Well, once it heats up, but titanium on titanium, it should be okay, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So I like to put a little bit of anti-seize. You could use the silver stuff or this copper stuff, but never Loctite. And a lot of companies will provide you anti-seize if you buy their product. Essentially, the difference between these is, as you can see, the sprockets are no longer captured by the sprocket carrier, right? Cover. The sprocket is now retained by these bolts here, or these nuts here, and the nut is captured in the back. So this what makes it a quick change is you loosen these nuts, get the sprocket out without losing, removing the sprocket carrier like we did the whole thing. So that's the difference. Traditionally, you would have to get this thing off, put a hex in the back, and then a socket in the front, loosen these, take off the cover, and then remove the sprocket. But now this is the quick change. All you have to do is remove these nuts outside. Again, it's because it's being captive in the back, so you don't have to put anything in the back. But however, to tighten these push drives initially, we still have to put a hex in the back, a tool in the back, and then a socket in the front. Tighten it for once, put it on, that's it. That's your jacket.
Oh, thanks, man. I got that from MotoGP last year.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they hooked me up with like this really cool dude that's like, he's like super big into GP and he has a lot of stuff. Actually did a documentary with him.
Man, I gotta go party with you guys. You guys are having all the fun down there. So 23. Oh, you said 23 to 24, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go 23 point. Well, let's go 23.5. Now, ideally, you would want to do this on a vise. I don't have a vise here, so I'm just gonna have to muscle it, clamp it together. So once I tighten this one, I go across. It's not torqued yet. I'm not torquing until the end. So just get them tight and then torque later. But do it at a star pattern, so you put even pressure across them. These titanium bolts are nice. Good looking.
I wonder how different will it feel now in the Hyper with these guys with the chain, the mass being changed.
It's rotational mass, so you'll feel quite a bit, especially being how torquey the bike is. And you went one up in the back, right? So, oh yeah. So they're somewhat torqued, and then now we're gonna go to town with them. In order for me to not forget which one I've done, I'd like to just get us some kind of marking. Just mark it real quick in the back. That's 2. That's 3. Okay. Clean it up and bring it out and let it shine. But yeah, I mean, whenever you remove something, whenever you have an opportunity, actually, just clean the surface, get the sand, grind, whatever out, wipe it down really good, and put grease, fresh grease back in. And this is how I like it. You're gonna have excess grease, and that's okay. Just wipe off the excess. Nice and greasy. Put a little bit on the track. You don't want it, put it where the thread is. It's okay if you accidentally do it, but if you could avoid, you don't want to put it on a thread because it is grease. But on the track it's okay because this is where the sprocket slides in. So let's clean off the threaded portion. All right, nice and torqued. Voila. There you go. Now we'll get the front sprocket off, put the new one in, and then you can start with the chain. I mean, they come pre-oil or grease or lubed from the factory, but just wipe it off because you don't know how long it's been sitting. It might have moist, whatever, whatnot. Put your own loop on there before you put it on. Just loop it up really good. And you could always wipe off the excess. Whatever gets squeezed out once you install them, then you can wipe it off. Whatever stays means it's meant to be captured in there. Yeah, there's no way of getting it out without getting these off the way. So if I could loosen these 2 nuts down here, and if I'm able to turn this a little bit, then I should have enough clearance. Now, because we don't know the torque spec, I'm gonna use a torque wrench.
Oh, that's clever. Oh my God, it's brilliant. I never thought about that.
And then just reverse it to see what we get. Somewhat of a ballpark. And then I'm gonna set it at like 25. And if it beeps, then that means it's 25 around there. If it's not, then we'll have to look at it also. So it's a lot more than 25. After 25 is when it starts to give. So I'm gonna say it's about 35 Newton meters, give or take. It wasn't really that tight. $25 to $35. So yeah, this one has a lot more torque than the other one. Yeah. So, more than 35, apparently. Unless you know it's something you can't mess up. like a nut or a wheel axle nut or something. Otherwise, you know, see? Try to do it with a hand tool first, get a feel for it, and then see if it's absolutely necessary to get a power tool. It's just, you know, it's a motorcycle. Everything is so lightly torqued. It's not a car, so you don't have to use power tools if you don't have to. There's so many bolts and nuts damaged because of that. So it looks like there's a rubber push drive. That's why we were able to wiggle it a little bit. And once you do that, oh, so there is a washer right here. We didn't see it. Okay. I guess we'll clean this too while we're at it. The other thing I was gonna mention is before you remove your sprocket of any kind, especially your front sprocket, because a lot of times you'll be confused if you so fast to remove it and you forgot the orientation, because these are, you know, obviously you can tell which side is which, right? Some sprockets, front sprockets that is, by manufacturers, or some bikes like Yamaha's and R6 and R1, they look identical, both sides. If you remove them so quick without observing them, you know, you're gonna forget. Now, if you do, the goal rule of thumb is to look at the laser marking. Normally, the teeth count and the model number faces out. Always, almost always. Yeah, there's a few Gixxer bikes out there that has these markings installed towards the bike. But normally, if you forgot or if you mess up, chances are have these model numbers and the teeth count towards the outside of the bike, and you should be good. But this is straightforward. Like, you can't mess this up. So that's that.
By the way, I am enjoying filming this really a lot because I can actually focus.
I do too. I mean, you know, I get to talk to somebody.
Dude, if you're ever working on me to shoot it, please, man, invite me. I'd love to do this.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I want to share some of the little details and beware. I won't say knowledge because I'm not a pro.
I think you're underplaying yourself here a little bit.
People overlooking certain things and stuff like that. I do things if everything was my own. So I'm working on this bike like this is my own bike, how I want it to be done, how I would have wanted it to be done. So, and it should be with everything else. If you take care of it as your own, then you'll do a good job. So it'll go, just go straight in like that. And when you put it back together, just to make sure that, you know, if there was any washer behind it or anything that came out with it or even stuck on there that you didn't know, just be extra cautious and put it back the way it is, and it should be good. This is like cast.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but it's not heavy. It looks freaking heavy though. Not bad. So we're gonna put it back together. A little bit of lube goes a long way. And now they will stick.
My wife would say that's what she said. She'll totally say that right now.
It's all good.
And she's gonna laugh when she watched the video clip of this.
She's got a great character. So because it's a push drive, right? So sometimes it gets stuck. And that's why we kind of have to do this. It didn't go in smoothly, so just get a little thing and just drive it in there. Just that. Oh yeah, we could. Yeah, definitely for sure. In fact, you're in luck because I ran out of safety wiring, and the new road just came in today. And I brought it with me, so.
That was kind of a flex on Oriendu's track. I think it's always cool looking, so. Dude, you have no idea how grateful I am right now.
It's all good, bro.
For so many reasons, really. Not just the fact that you're helping doing this. Is just one, this is a big learning opportunity for me also.
So like I said before, alright, try to line up everything, make sure you're driving the bolt in there straight. You don't want it at any angle at all, as straight as possible. use hand tool, not power tool. And get a feel for it. If it gives you any kind of resistance, it's not normal. Unless it's got crazy amount of Loctite previously, then I'm gonna give you resistance. What I'm gonna do is just go back and forth, give it even pressure as you tighten them, and then tighten the other side, because if you did that, the bolt would have definitely been off angle and not straight. That's the rubber push drive. I'm just gonna put the washer back, thread this in there. This was a 24. So I like these because they give you a feedback of a solid stop, right? It's not one of those where, oh, you think it's tightened, could it go a little more? But this gives you a solid stop, so it tells you, okay, that's it. Now torque it, and that's it. So yeah, if we knew the torque spec, I would have torqued it now, but we'll do the chain first, round the chain, and then come back and torque and make sure everything's good, and then we'll come back and torque. I like this chain.
That is a lot of grease, boy.
Yes, from the factory. Some guy would clean this, pre-clean this before they install it. I don't deem that necessary. What I like to do is I install it and then clean the chain after it's installed on the bike, which is the same thing. Some guys soak this in the kerosene or something like that. I don't deem it necessary. So I'm just gonna get it installed. Put the washer back in there, but we're not tightening anything down yet though. Just put everything back. These washers also have grooves, so they could only go back one way. So we'll hand tight for now. See, that's hand tight because it started spinning. Now we'll feed the chain up. Just take your time. Don't let your finger get caught in there. Feed the chain up. Grab it on this side. That it comes through, right? Now, if this was a super bike, normally there would be something over here to. This will be, yeah. This will have a hole here. Sometimes people feed it through from the bottom by accident, so just make sure you feed it through correctly, and then mount it back up to the sprocket, and then measure it from there. Since you went one up in the back, that's gonna take up a little more link than normal, because I believe these are 106 from the factory as far as link goes. So I can't really, match it up, because this is the 120 chain, so I should have 14 left. But because you went one up in the back, that's not accurate anymore. I'm just gonna go by what it gives me, which is, how and where I should cut. So as you can see right now, this is pretty tight as it is. But
it'll be too loose if we go the other way.
So essentially what I have to do is, if I let go, right, and let it sit in there, and this will be, I could cut it this way, and now if I cut it like that,
you have to push the hub back.
I would have to push the hub back and make it longer, or I could go shorter by one and essentially push the hub forward.
I'm guessing,
Right.
if you make it longer, which is like this,
Right.
when you start having some slack in the chain, you have no more room to push it back. So it's better to go shorter.
Yes.
And then bring it forward as the chain kind of breaks in and get looser. Then you can push back.
Right, because
you have that.
all chains, they come loose. All new chains, they come loose. So because this could only go back so much. So if it's too long, you're screwed, right? Yeah. But we're not cutting it too short because we're essentially, this is missing by one teeth, right? If your rear sprocket was stock, which is because you went one up, so this reflects that. You see what I mean? It's missed off. It's missed by one, just one. So that means we're on the money. So if I move the essential hub forward by one, it'll set in, and then we'll cut it there. Once it stretches out, we'll move it back a little bit, and everything is perfect. So essentially, to do a Ducati, you would need one of these, right? Well, a single swing on it, Ducati. You would need one of these. You could buy these Amazon, anywhere. There's a teeth back here. You hook it on. Well, first you gotta loosen these two, right? This is the essential hub nut, bolt. You loosen these and then grab teeth. Some tools have two teeth. This one only has one. I've tried to look for better branding, better maker of this tool, but can't really find anything. So if you look online, there should be a whole bunch. And that right there did it.
Nice amount back.
Oh yeah, because this is
too tight.
This is too tight. So essentially, we should have enough amount of room for you to stay at a good slag, and then later on tighten it. So yeah, we're good.
I realize I gotta really wash my bike. It looks crazy.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll wash it later. So that's that. To grinding and cutting. So again, before you cut, just double check, make sure you don't cut the wrong link. I have had a friend who cut the wrong link by accident, and he had to cut an extra link and destroyed his whole chain. So just make sure you cut it at the right position. In this case, we're cutting it right here. We're cutting off here. Okay, the shoving doesn't work, so that's fine. Make a mark. Double check again. Safety glasses. Always. You want to break, so you find B, right, and you pair it against this right here. Then hit the back of it, drive this one on there, let it sit. Use your 17, tighten that. That's that. Do this. Now we just push the pin out. It's gonna sound, it might have a squeaky sound, or it sounds like you're breaking something, which you are really. You are breaking the pin through, but it might also have a little bit of resistance, and that's okay. But if it has too much resistance, then that means you may not have fitted the capture piece in the back correctly. So if it's too much resistance, then take it back off and redo it. That's that. And then you loosen this part. Take the thing back out. Sometimes your pin comes out with it. Sometimes it just slide right out. Gold. When you take them off, Just make sure, because they will have these O-rings in them. Just make sure you don't use what's on there. Use the new one. Always use the new ones. So just make sure you remove them, or sometimes don't mistake them with the new ones that you're about to put on. So just make sure you take them off, clean it a little bit, lube it, and you're good. Breaking the chain is not hard.
That's the part that.
That's the easiest part.
That's the part that gets me nervous. What you gonna do right now?
You know, just take your time, and always have extra master links. Always. When you order your chain, get a couple. Get one extra. Normally, a new chain will have the master link with 4 O-rings, right? So, and it'll also have this pack of loop. Use it. It's very important. Yes. And don't be afraid to use it, because this is it. Once you close the chain and all the grease stays inside, so, and you can't re-add lube to it. You can't. So once you close it up, and that's it. So you want to loop it now. Even by the manufacturer recommendation, they recommend you to loop them really, really well. So don't be afraid to use it. Nice and loop. So what you do is you grab 1, 2, right? And then you want it at a good angle so the chain doesn't fall apart. With 2 O-rings, you insert them in between. You know, that's straightforward, right? Grab 2 more. 1 here. And these loops is what keeps the debris out of your O-rings. So use them. Now what you do is you loop this a little bit so it sticks, right? Depending on the company and the brand, DIDs will have different wordings in a different direction. If you're OCD like me, I would try to match the rest wordings with the bike. Can't really tell which way this EK has it, so I'm just gonna go with 520 towards that and Japan towards this way. That's personal preference. You don't have to do it. So what you do is with the O-ring capture, you stick it on for now and hope that it stays. Normally it does. If you loop it enough, it should stay with a little bit of pressure. You want to get a calibration tool of some sort, right? I would measure what I cut off, right? Because it's so hard to measure whatever's on there now. So what you cut off is that much easier to measure. So try to get a solid in between reading, average reading. So we're looking at 18.10 millimeter. When we go to press, we want to get it to somewhere about 1810.
Initially, I would do matching gold with the Öhlins fork.
Okay.
Right, kind of do like accents of gold.
That's one thing that people do. What I see people.
You did it well here. Don't play around. I know what you're gonna say, but this is the best like red and gold combo I've seen, and actually worked. And I tried doing it on the Street Fighter. It did not work neither. I took them all off. I did them for one season. When I did videos, it looks orange in the videos. Yeah, everyone was like, "Why would you put orange?" I'm like, "Dude, it's the video. Right. I'm not gonna have a red and orange Ducati. Come on."
Yeah. No, it's very subtle.
But this, dude, you make me like want to buy this freaking bike, man. Like, Jesus Christ. Even the rear nut. Jesus, man.
Yeah, because the silver, if you were to use the silver thing, it just doesn't look right. But yeah, back to it. Put the ring up, right? Put the plate as we measure the thickness of the stock chain. Normally, they stay, but this chain is giving me a little, you know, a little here and there. No, if they stayed, it'll be that much better, but if they didn't, you'll just have to make sure. I used to like EK, and then I went to DID.
What's the difference?
DID is in MotoGP. DID is what's on Valentino Rossi's bike. I hope. At least that's what's on his sticker. on this bike as a sticker. I believe so. Yeah, the ID is what produced the GP chain. EK is actually lighter than DID. The lightest chain from EK is lighter than the lightest chain from DID by a little bit. There's nothing wrong with EK, just brand preference. But DID is more widely used in the racing world, at least that's what I see. So we got this thing captured. Now we're just gonna press it.
How do you know when it is perfect?
There's a few things you look for. There's a groove here. You want to make sure that clear the hole for the pin to stick through, right? If it's not aligned correctly, that groove will be somewhat blocking the hole, and therefore if the pin try to protrude later on, it's going to be blocked by this thing, right? So that's one thing about that. That's one thing that tells you that something's not right. And also back here there's another groove for the backing for the back of the pins. So it holds the pins there, so the pin, as you press the plate, the pin doesn't get pushed back. So that's like a backing, a stop, like a stop for the pin. So that tells you that this is correct. This tells you that this is correct. So before you go to press, tight, and then just look at it real quick, the upper part and the bottom part, because it's the same thing. There's a groove back here and there's a groove down here. So just make sure everything clears. And like I said, now it's where all the fun's at. You go to press, right, and there's no going back. So go easy, right? Small increments. You will see.
Well, I think I can see it already.
Yeah, you'll see the plates coming through. A lot of times, if you didn't align this tool evenly, you might have a missed pressure press. So the bottom would be pressed in a little more than the top and stuff like that. So try to sit the tool perfectly so it pushes from the center.
See, now you see why I'm like nervous about doing this myself.
Well, it sounds complicated when you're explaining it, but when you're doing it a few times, it'll be fine. So normally you would want to check, but you don't want to check before it gets pressed through. So you see the pins are like coming through now. So if you want to check for evenness of the pressure, now is the time to check. But because I've done this a few times, so I can tell that I can eyeball where that pin is, right? The location of that pin, how much it's sticking through. And I would eyeball this pin, how much is sticking through. That tells me that I'm giving it even squeeze pressure. So I'm not gonna take it off and check. I'm just gonna continue to press. And previously we had measured the stock, well, not the stock, measure
The excess chain.
Yes, well, we also measure the thickness, right, of the chain, which is 18.1011. That was the average reading. So now, as you can see, after the chain sticks through, or the rivet, the pin sticks through that much, now it's time to loosen this and check. So because you don't want to overpress. Once you overpress, the chain will seize. It won't be able to move freely. So this can be a hassle because you have to find an angle. At an angle, try to get a good reading. So see, this is at 18.65. 60. So we could technically press a little more, but not much. Try to get it close. It doesn't have to be exact. 3.1. So re-zero it. Get another reading. Right, 9.6 down here. Right here is at 3.0. So that's the 5.0. So we could press a little more, not much. Once you do it a few times, and you can just really eyeball it, because you could eyeball it by how much the pin is sticking out, like this is where it's at.
See, that gets me nervous, doing that part, and then I have to flatten the head.
Oh no, that's, well, I want you to do it a few times. Well, what you can do now is, you know, give it a wiggle, right? See how it moves freely? That's perfect. And how much it sticks out, and that's exactly about where you want it.
So it's not kinking.
No, it's not kinking. So you could technically press a little more, or leave it as it is. I'm gonna leave it as it is. Well, I might press a little more so I could get a good rivet out of them. So we're gonna press a little more, tiny little more. Right there. That's good. Now that's the pressing part. Now we're gonna go rivet. So just, before you do that, just check, right? It moves nice freely, doesn't kink. Feed it through the sprocket a little bit, let it run. Everything is good. We'll go to rivet. If this was your first time, I recommend you measure, but you don't measure these. These will rivet differently, so they flare a lot more than these will flare. So what you want to do is you want to measure these. Whatever the measurement is. So for instance, this is at 5.20 millimeter. The general rule is you want to add about 0.25 to 0.35 millimeter to where you measured it at. So if this was at 5.20, you want to get it to about 5.5. But that's, you know, that's by numbers. Ultimately, you don't have to get it there at 5.5. Ultimately, you want it to see it flare to a point where it'll flare open and it becomes a stoppage for the plate to back out. Technically, these plate will ever back out because how we press it together. And you know, flaring it or riveting it, it doesn't require a lot of force. You don't really want to overdo this. This is what people really mess up when it comes to doing a chain. Can mess up.
Dude, that looks good so far.
So far, so good.
With the titanium bolts, that's cool.
All right.
And I was gonna do black bolts instead.
No, I like the titanium. If you are using this tool, just make sure you have this backstop facing the back of it. Sometimes people will have this side facing it, like that. And as you rivet, you'll actually be pushing the pin through instead of riveting it. So just make sure it's like that. I know because I've done it. And it'll say R towards the body of the tool. One at a time. Put that link in that groove. And then make sure it's pointed center, right? And this is when you go really easy, really easy. First you want to tighten it, right? And that's where it's tight, it's stopped. Now we go to work. So a little increment. That's a little bit right there. See that? See how much I'm moving? Little, very subtle. Take it off, check it. You can see how it's flared compared to this one, and that right there is almost good. I can do a little more if I wanted to. Yeah, we can go just a bit more, and then we can move on to the bottom one. Technically, if you want to stop right there, that's fine too. Because as long as it's, you know, you're not making it huge to stop the plate. You're just flaring it so it's as a safety precaution. You know what I mean? So any amount is good, technically.
As long as you don't
As long as you don't overdo it. Because if you overdo it,
there's no going back.
There's no going back. You got to redo the master link. Now, some people will we'll do it to a point where there's a slight hairline crack on there. That's overdoing, but that's still okay, because the indication of these are going bad is you over tight and they'll snap. Boom, they'll explode. So sometimes they'll have a tiny little hairline crack. That means you overdid it, but that's still okay. Yeah.
But you don't want that.
But you don't want that. No. See? So now just make sure the back is tight. This up where it's at. The more you go, the fragile it becomes. So just go easy. That's tight right there. And then we're gonna go boop, boop. Just like that. Tiny little bit. See? This is good rivet right there. That's good job. One more.
That'd be kind of cool. I mean, I'm just thinking out the box here already. It came off.
Yeah.
Like using an old chain, breaking it. And everything.
If it helps you get rid of your fear, yes. Yeah, I mean, you could use an old chain to break it, grind it, break it, rivet, but every time you rivet something, you can't, I mean, you could technically rivet on top of these, but you're not really doing it. So you would have to get multiple master links to do it. And you know, that depends if you want to really do that.
But the whole point is really making things a learning experience, really. And I think that's more important to me.
Yeah, then if that's the case, yeah. I mean,
to me, I think just us doing this like that, and then me taking in your knowledge, that's even more important than just the work. This is crazy. And that's the one thing that people tend to overlook as well too. Not only when somebody's working on a project or working on something like this, the tools, the history of them working, and the knowledge that they have. That's what you're really paying for.
Oh yeah, a lot of times. Go to work. We go. We're gonna go like that right there. That's it. That's it.
Let's take a look at this bad boy.
We did it, Mike.
Oh man, that was hilarious. If I did this, I'd be so nervous riding the bike. And it's not that it's not doable, it's just like scary to me that something would go wrong.
Yeah, no, once you do this a little bit, you'll get to it. Now we gotta put this one back. We have a new nut from Motivation, right? This is a Duga bike. So because these are colored or anodized, to prevent you from hurting the finish, what I like to do is, well, first you gotta make sure you put the washers back when you take it off. So I put it on with the plastic. I found these plastic to be very durable against markings, tool markings. So what I like to do is I put them on the way it is, right? And then I would use the torque wrench with the socket over that to prevent tool markings as much as I can. And this is when the big boy comes out.
Beta tools.
Yes. I mean, these tools, they do come with a price tag, I have to say, but there's a noticeable difference when you use these tools. I do have a toolbox, a Beta toolbox with a set of tools in them, hand tools, not here, but when you use the Beta tools, like the ergonomics of it and the feelings, the feedbacks that it gives you, there's a difference, big difference.
And that's what they have in MotoGP too, by the way.
Oh yeah. So yeah, again, we're using the plastic wrap to prevent tool marking, right? What I like to do is I like to leave it on there, right? Hand tighten it, and then have another person help me with stepping on the brake in neutral, because I don't want to put the pressure on the gearbox. So what I like to do is have somebody step on a brake for me. In this case, Mike, I need you to step on a brake for me on the other side, and I'll tighten this. Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna be useful.
Yes. Perfect.
That was really good.
So we're just gonna hand check these per Jacob's request. 3, 4, 5. We'll set the chain tension. Too much. Very little. Yeah, that's why I like it. And then it'll come loose again. So to tighten the eccentric hub so that the wheel doesn't come loose.
You know one thing that bothered me a lot about this motorcycle?
Yeah.
The fact that they give you some carbon fiber and they did not make the rear hugger carbon fiber. That is weird, man.
I think that's the thing with Ducati. Just like the V4R, you get the winglets, the front mudguard, and something else, but you don't get this one. Something's about Ducati with that. I don't know why. So if you don't want to tighten one side all the way, you want to tighten both equally. Give it even pressure. There's a torque spec for this also, like 25 or 28 Newton meter. Five. That's why I need a small torque wrench. That's 25. We'll confirm it. Right there. You still gotta clean it though. Clean the chain before you go. How does it look? That's it. We'll tighten the rear set first. And then we'll tighten this nut, flare this down, put the cover back on, and we're golden.
Pretty light.
Yeah, so 25, 30 should be good. Yeah, see, that's enough right there. That's 30 millimeter. That's 30. Yeah, they're tight.
Did you want me to step in the on the brake?
Yeah.
Let me hold the whole rear brake, right?
Yeah, hold it please. Okay. Just want to get in there with a screwdriver and then see if you can somewhat fold it. Fold it down. It's tough to fold because we don't have the leverage of folding it. So I like to get it to come down as much as possible and then somewhat tap it right there. You can hit it with the screwdriver. You could hit it like that, but that's gonna push the washer down versus folding it. So because we can't get to the back of it, you just kind of have to use a leverage and fold it down as much as possible, and then try to do that. Go across, so it's like a 12 and 6 position. You could fold more, but it's not necessary. There you go. Nice and fold. Now It's not going anywhere. Where'd I get? Oh, that's on
You had a me moment.
here. Yeah.
I have an extra piece.
Like it came out of nowhere. Damn, it's got on my hand. Yeah, stuff like that you don't want to over tighten at all because it's so easy to strip. And as long as it's tight is good tight. Now we'll put this back in your business. Tighten this guy up. Quarter turn after it's tight. You're golden. It's back to where it is. We'll clean the chain up. You want it, these safety wire? Use Motul, man. Use Motul only. So to clean the chain, again I use Motul chain cleaner. I think it's the best one on the market. What you do is you spray it inside the O-ring. Like, it's a new chain, so we're not really cleaning anything. We're just getting rid of the wax. So what I like to do is you get inside the seals and the O-rings, right? And then you put a brush to it. And then you spin it like that. And these brushes are great because it cleans 3 sides, center and 2 sides. I can spin it a few times. Like I said, it's a new chain, so we're not cleaning anything. Really, a nice towel in there. So get your hand between, put your finger between the chain and then just hold it like that. Rub it down a little bit. Some people do it with the bike on.
That's a bad idea.
Do not do that, please. Like if you want your fingers, don't do that. Like I have this one guy.
Or your hand.
Or your hand, yeah.
Or your hand, yeah.
We'll spray it with the motion, or no, the Motul chain loop. Again, I go inside because what you're really trying to loop is the O-rings, not the chain itself, not the metal part. The O-ring is where you're trying to loop, and where you gotta loop. How's it look?
Incredible.
From your hand. Ooh! Oh yeah!
That looks good. It's like a brand new bike all over again.
Yeah!
So
Nice. So now, we're gonna do some safety wire job, and we're golden. Right?
Oh yeah, real teamwork. Real teamwork for sure.
Teamwork, baby.
The best I could do here is just make you look good on the camera. That's it.
Appreciate that. This takes patience. How's that look so far?
That looks incredible.
You still wrap around this guy and just finish it up. Damn. There. Come back around here. I left a little slag for you, so it's, when you go cut it, you can. Yeah, if I didn't leave anything, it'd be tough for you to cut it later on. Oh shit! Did I cut it? Yeah, I cut it by accident. Oh my god! Yeah.